this is likely going to be the most exciting matchup in the first round. There's so many interesting aspects and narratives to this matchup. This is the first time Westbrook will face KD in the playoffs. Westbrook versus Chris Paul is also an all-time point guard matchup, even if they're both coming off their prime. This is also Chris Paul's return back to LA to face his old team. The last time Kawhi versus KD happened, KD got seriously injured in Game 1 of the 2019 NBA Finals, where the Raptors ended up winning. This could be a revenge series for losing the championship and their three-peat. Kawhi has an 8-12 record against KD in the playoffs. Booker and Paul George are similar in play style and game, with smooth jumpers. While Paul George has always been a great defender, Booker has improved a ton in that area in recent years too. The Clippers are much more deeper, but the Suns still have Ayton, who the Clippers don't really have an answer to. Both coaches are two of the best coaches in the NBA, navigated around injury-filled seasons for both teams. Tyronn Lue won the 2016 NBA championship and Monty Williams went to the NBA Finals in 2021. The Suns team, however, have KD this time. The Clippers have had issues with chemistry, as Mason Plumlee and Terrence Mann ended up on Shaqtin' a Fool for both jumping for the same alley-oop dunk and both missing.
Number 2, Terrence Mann and Mason Plumlee. How many Clippers does it take to finish an alley-oop?
But that was a play, I think.
That's pretty funny, though.
We'll go get it. Have you ever dunked on your teammate like...
Mason Plumlee also got into a fight with Bones Highland in the last game of the season. The Clippers also had issues with the bench not liking the preferential treatment for Paul George and Kawhi, who kept missing games earlier too. Paul George is also currently injured, but expected to return around the start of the playoffs. Even if the Clippers lose the first 2 games on the road, they could try to come back in the series in Game 3 at home, assuming Paul George comes back in time. For everyone saying who's going to guard KD, well, Kawhi would be one of the best defenders against KD. It's also a matter of if their defense is strong enough to hold off all of the Suns' lethal offensive threats and score their own share too. Remember, KD got swept just last playoffs in the first round to elite wing defenders like Brown and Tatum. Kawhi was the original mold of the archetype, so should hold him off to some extent. Although this Kawhi is older and coming off serious injuries too, so can't really expect the same level of defense Boston played on KD last playoffs. The Clippers do have pieces to help relieve Kawhi, like Norman Powell and Eric Gordon, but conditioning for Kawhi has to be questioned, especially to carry offensively and defensively, as he averages 33.6 minutes per game, which may not be enough in extremely close playoff games where superstars are playing over 40 minutes. While the Clippers have depth, they don't have players that could play to Kawhi's level to come in while he's on the bench, especially if KD is going to play more minutes than Kawhi. The Suns, on the other hand, are 8-0 when KD plays, a small sample size, and they played against weaker opponents, and the Nuggets twice without Jokic. Since the most recent stretch, Paul George and Kawhi have played great together with their core group and started to establish some form of continuity until Paul George got injured. Those minutes together will at least help get some reps and familiarity for their playstyle and identity for the playoffs.
Kawhi, as a master of the mid-range yourself, what impresses you the most of KD's mid-range game?
I mean, him making the shots, that's what it's about. How he gets to his spots, shooting over guys, 2 hands, throughout his whole career. It is very impressive. And like I said, year after year, he's doing it, and he's doing it at a high percentage. So, both ways. Left, right, shooting over everybody. So
continuity will, however, be a bigger issue for the Suns, who have only played 8 games with KD, and with guys coming in and out of the starting lineup with Ayton, Booker, and KD all missing different games and using completely different lineups depending on who's available, like starting Biyombo, it'll be messy, and a lot of their bench and depth will not know their roles or be familiar with each other in their units entering the playoffs. Both the Suns and Clippers have been favorites by analysts and betting odds to win the title since the start of the season, and even now the Suns have the 3rd best odds. The Clippers, since the Paul George injury, have fallen in championship odds though. All things considered, we don't know how Paul George will be once he's back. He himself said it's hard adjusting right after an injury, especially in a playoff environment. He can't afford to struggle or have an off return night, especially if they start down in the series. Kawhi has gotten back to his old form, but it's a tall task to win the overall series, even if the Suns haven't played many games together. KD is a much easier player to just plug in and play, as most of his game is isolation based. This matchup is actually a rematch of the 2021 Western Conference Finals. Although Kawhi missed the entire series as he got injured in the semifinals against the Jazz, they still played hard and pulled out 2 wins. Let's see what a healthy Clippers team could look like. In the playoffs, the Kawhi and Paul George duo has a record of 13-11. The Clippers are 32-24 when Paul George plays, and 33-19 when Kawhi plays a season. When they play together, they're 24-14. There is continuity with their group from previous years and have started to develop a core from past playoffs. This is also Paul George and Kawhi's third year and third playoffs together, so they have continuity, something the Suns don't really have since they lost key pieces with Bridges, Johnson, and Crowder and only got KD since the trade deadline. The Suns simply fit amongst each other better and have a naturally fitting team, where the role players simply have to do minor roles, while their highest paid stars and starters will take most of the burden. I'm predicting Suns in 6, but can likely see it ending in more games depending on when Paul George comes back and how he plays when returning.